The DAV 5K is a wonderful event. It's an event where all of the community can come out and say thank you for the service and sacrifice that our ill and injured veterans have provided to all of us in our country. It provides an opportunity for all generations, entire family to come out, have fun, and just say thanks for veteran service and sacrifice, and learn a little bit about veterans and their needs.
I believe that the DAV 5K run is very important because it's about community, and it's about bringing together us individuals that had sacrificed our time and bodies and soul to the service.
We're proud to say that 30% of the participants were veterans. The DAV 5K is a run, walk, roll, and motorcycle ride where we had not only citizens come out, we had our corporate partners come out en masse. And it's just wonderful to be a part of a community where so many people and corporate partners recognize the sacrifices that our ill and injured veterans and their families have made for our country.
We in the service are nothing without the backbone, and our backbone is our support system, which is the family. They are behind dealing with the day-to-day grinds.
The race was led by over 200 motorcycles. What an impactful beginning of that race. It was exciting, the crowd was just having a wonderful time. And those motorcycle riders, in addition to opening the race, they were at the finish line. If you know a veteran and you want to say thank you, certainly do that in person. But you can also come out and support an event like this where you can say thank you to every veteran.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The session is about to begin.
Good morning, everyone. Please come in, take your seats. So glad to see so many of you were up and early today and could join us this morning. I'm Joy Elam, DAV's National Legislative Director, and welcome to the Benefits Protection Team Seminar. We have just 30 minutes this morning to cover the most urgent issue in front of us, the future of the VA healthcare system. So let me begin by introducing my staff. Assistant National Legislative Directors Adrian Adesado, Paul Varela, Associate National Legislative Director Chandra Love, and Senior Executive Advisor Peter Dickinson. Not here with us today, but equally important, is our support staff in Washington, D.C., Lisa Bogle, who many of you know, and Karen Woolley, as well as Senior Advisor John Bradley and Research Assistant Amy Webb. I'd also like to recognize DAV's interim legislative committee members, Chairman Gene Murphy, Al LaBelle, Robert Squires, and Richard Valdez. Thank you, gentlemen, for all that you do throughout the year. We appreciate that support. And finally, I want to recognize my predecessor, mentor, and colleague, Joe Violante. I've had the privilege to work with Joe on the National Legislative staff for the past 16 years. And as you know, after 2 decades of service, Joe officially retired from DAV on July 31st. Washington changed a lot during Joe's time here, and he certainly helped to change Washington. Looking backwards, I think it's fair to say that Joe also changed over the past 20 years. Look at that. In all seriousness, Joe has been a national leader for service-disabled veterans, fighting successfully for many of the most important veterans laws enacted over the past 2 decades. And while it's sad to bid Joe farewell, we celebrate his right to a well-earned retirement after an extraordinary career. Godspeed to our friend, DAV Life member, Joseph A. Violante. Now down to business. As I said, today we're focusing on just one issue, the issue that's dominated news coverage and congressional debates for the past year, veterans health care and the VA. Today, we need to discuss how to strengthen, reform, and preserve the VA. As a result of the waiting list scandal and the access crisis that exploded last year, the long-term existence of VA is now in question. Even the basic idea that disabled veterans should be able to receive all of their care from VA is under attack. As you'll hear, we believe the VA needs reform to ensure that veterans have timely access to quality health care they've been promised. And we have a plan to do just that. Let me first set the stage by reporting on the current state of the VA healthcare and benefits system, and by discussing the critical issues, emerging threats now facing VA, as well as our vision of how the system can and must be reformed to better serve our nation's injured and ill veterans. Without question, the past year has been a tumultuous one for VA, and pressure continues to mount as a result of ongoing administrative challenges and budget shortfalls. Following revelations about secret waiting lists at the Phoenix VA, an investigation by the Inspector General confirmed manipulation of veterans' wait time data. They also reported that there were thousands of veterans around the country waiting for care, and within months, both the VA Secretary and Undersecretary for Health resigned. Robert McDonald was chosen to lead the department as Secretary, and new leadership was put in place throughout the VA. In fact, more than 90% of VA medical centers now have new leadership. Just prior to last year's convention, Congress passed the Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act. This created a temporary program, commonly referred to as CHOICE, that provides veterans another option to get care outside of VA if they live more than 40 miles from a VA facility or are waiting more than 30 days for care. Congress provided $10 billion for the temporary CHOICE program and nearly $7 billion to hire new healthcare staff and expand treatment space. Over the past year, VA has clearly made progress on access to care and is working to improve the veterans' experience. But despite this progress, problems still exist. Although VA worked diligently to implement the new CHOICE program in the short time provided under the law, it quickly became clear that veterans did not fully understand the restrictions on eligibility or how to access the new program. And they weren't alone. VA employees were also confused about the new authority and how to expedite community care for veterans who needed it. In fact, we continue to hear complaints about the program today, its limitations, and that it's still taking too long for some veterans to get the care they need. And while the CHOICE program is new, access issues are not. For those of us who've been fighting to strengthen the VA healthcare system, it feels, sadly, all too familiar. A crisis occurred back in 2003 when VA admitted it was unable to keep up with demand. A presidential task force was convened, and it confirmed hundreds of thousands of veterans were waiting 6 months or longer for care. The task force reported that there was a mismatch between demand for services and available funding. They predicted another access crisis would occur if the mismatch was not resolved, and that's just what happened. Year after year, DAV and our independent budget partners pointed out significant funding shortfalls in VA's medical care budget. Although VA's funding did increase nearly every year, the demand for care and the cost of care have grown even faster. Last summer, VA's Deputy Secretary Sloan Gibson testified that for years, VA had been managing to a budget rather than asking for funding levels needed to meet the full demand for care. Last month again, VA informed Congress that it needed additional funding or it would run out of money to pay for community-based care and be forced to shut down some hospitals' operations before the end of the fiscal year in September. Fortunately, just prior to convention, Congress gave the VA authorization to use over $3 billion in CHOICE funds to pay for community care and to provide a revolutionary new medication to veterans with hepatitis C. But I want to be clear, while $3 billion is a lot of money, it's only a short-term fix. It's keeping the hospital doors open. However, it's not addressing the long-term problems plaguing the VA, including a rapidly aging infrastructure. Year after year, the IB made recommendations to Congress to increase funding to repair and modernize VA's hospitals and clinics. Our recommendations closely mirror VA's own internal estimates for maintaining its infrastructure. According to VA's internal plan, VA would need to be investing $56 to $69 billion in facility improvements over the next 10 years. That would require a $5 to $7 billion investment annually. Yet, for the past 4 years, the administration requested and Congress appropriated less than $2 billion for VA healthcare infrastructure needs. And the House and Senate are on track to include only about $1 billion for next year. So we don't have to look far to see the results of this underfunding and impact it's having on veterans. For more than a decade, veterans right here in Denver have been waiting for a new VA medical center to be completed. This project has been plagued by delays, cost overruns, and mismanagement. And now Congress and VA are at odds over how and perhaps even whether to fully fund and complete the Denver VA Medical Center. While the debate over the future of VA healthcare system rages in Washington, veterans in Denver and other places who receive care at aging VA facilities are left to wonder, will Congress provide sustained funding to modernize, rebuild, and restructure VA in order to improve care for veterans who need it? Since the crisis broke last year, the House Veterans Affairs Committee has held a record number of hearings, many focused on VA's failures related to leasing issues, budget overruns, poor program management, and a lack of accountability. These failures have made Congress hesitant to give VA more money without seeing real reforms first. So where are we today? Congress's patience is wearing thin. The new business and management changes that Secretary McDonnell is working on are not happening fast enough for some, and new proposals are coming out every day debating the future course of VA should be. So VA is truly at a crossroads. But reform of the VA must happen, and we can't wait any longer. Veterans deserve a stronger, healthier VA. But we need smart reform. Otherwise, veterans will be the ones who pay the price. Unfortunately, this crisis has led to a number of bad proposals. There are proposals to downsize the VA system, perhaps creating centers of excellence for war-related injuries, and requiring veterans to seek all routine care in the community. Some support giving veterans just a plastic card to find needed services on their own in the private healthcare market. And one group wants to privatize the system and have veterans pay more to get all of their care in the community. And there are even a few who say that VA is so dysfunctional and poorly run that it should be completely dismantled. We've warned that these types of proposals could fracture the comprehensive model of veterans care that VA delivers today, and even risk eliminating VA as a direct provider of care altogether. 2 weeks ago, Congress expanded the eligibility and the access standards in the CHOICE program, and there's now legislation to make the program permanent. And while DAV supported the temporary CHOICE program to ensure that veterans who were on waiting lists could get the care they needed, prematurely making this program permanent without ensuring sufficient resources and management controls could have a devastating impact on the VA healthcare system and its ability to provide comprehensive care for disabled veterans. Just because a program is called CHOICE doesn't guarantee you'll see a doctor faster or that it will be closer to your home. We all agree that when VA can't provide a medical service, there must be an option outside the VA system. But simply calling a program CHOICE doesn't solve that problem. DAV has always supported access to community care whenever it's needed. However, some of the proposals I just talked about go far beyond this kind of choice and could actually endanger the entire VA system of care that so many of us rely on. While we need to ensure that VA has a network of community care options, we also have to ensure that our choice to use VA remains viable. If too many veterans leave the VA system under a CHOICE program, causing a significant reduction or shift in VA's patient base, that could lead VA to either cut back on services or close facilities. If that happens, DAV members who are high users of VA healthcare could be forced to travel further or wait longer to get their VA care. And while most of the focus has been on the VA healthcare system, there are also a number of troubling proposals to radically change the benefit system as well. As you know, VA has been working diligently to eliminate a backlog of pending benefit claims by modernizing its processing systems and technology. However, there are some people who believe the way to address VA's rising benefits workload is by cutting the number of veterans eligible for such benefits. For example, making it harder to qualify for individual unemployability or receive a permanent disability rating. They even claim that cutting off benefits for some veterans would be better for them. We don't agree. The men and women who have been permanently disabled by their service have earned these benefits, and we will oppose any effort to take them away. As Congress and others start to consider all of these reform proposals, it's essential that we keep them focused on what is best for veterans, particularly disabled veterans. So with all of these challenges and a system that's far from perfect, why do we still consider the VA best choice for veterans? First and foremost, VA healthcare is the only integrated healthcare system dedicated to the unique needs of veterans. The VA system is not driven by profit, and there's a clear focus on wellness, disease prevention, patient safety, and building a lifelong relationship with its veteran patients. The system has expertise in meeting the specialized needs of veterans with war injuries, including amputations, blindness, burns, traumatic brain injuries, and PTSD. VA conducts world-class veteran-focused clinical research, improving health care for veterans and health care status of all Americans. VA has provided graduate medical education to more than 60% of our nation's physicians, ensuring veterans have access to our top doctors and clinical institutions. Despite its access problems, the VA healthcare system has been consistently judged by independent medical experts to be among the best healthcare systems in the country in terms of both quality and patient safety. Finally, VA is the only healthcare system that focuses exclusively on treating veterans and is built on a culture that values veterans, their service, and their sacrifices. Bottom line, no model of care in the private sector could match VA's relationship with veterans or its expertise in treating military service-related health conditions. But of course, no healthcare system is perfect. Since the crisis broke, we've heard from some veterans who are not satisfied with the quality of their care at VA facilities, and some are still waiting too long for care they need. We hear you and we get it. Let me be clear. We are not satisfied with the state of VA today, and we are not advocating for the status quo. We agree that VA must be reformed from top to bottom, and that the focus must once again be placed squarely on veterans. As difficult as it has been to see the VA falter, as its management failures continue to be highlighted under the intense media scrutiny, we see this moment as an opportunity for VA to make the necessary changes and reforms that have been sorely needed. It's our opportunity to build a system of universal quality solely dedicated to caring for those who have served and have been impacted by the rigors and sacrifices of military and wartime service. But VA must get it right. The American people, Congress, and the administration have collectively said, we want our veterans to get the care they need, and we don't want them waiting to get that care when they need it. This recent crisis has led to a healthy debate on how that can be best accomplished. And DAV has been working hard to develop a responsible plan that would fix the VA system to better serve veterans. Last month, we proposed a framework to rebuild, restructure, realign, and reform the VA healthcare system. It's easy to remember, the 4 R's. First, rebuild VA's capacity to provide timely care, high-quality care with long-term strategy to recruit and hire and retain enough clinical staff to meet the true demand for care. VA must also have sufficient and sustained funding to repair and modernize, as well as expand treatment space to maximize access and efficiency in its clinics. Second, restructure and consolidate VA's community care programs into a single extended care network that incorporates the best features of all existing care programs, including choice, with a separate and guaranteed funding mechanism. Third, we propose to realign and expand VA's healthcare services to meet the diverse needs of our future veterans, including women veterans and those who reside in rural and remote regions. Fourth, reform VA's culture and management by increasing transparency, accountability, and oversight to become more veteran-centric and efficient as an organization. The framework I've outlined would lead to a VA system that better meets the needs and expectations of veterans. We now need Congress and VA leadership to work together with us to resolve the complex problems that exist and to create a system that reflects our country's true commitment to those who served. DAV needs your grassroots support and direct experience to remind Congress why the system is essential and important to you as a disabled veteran. We need you to provide feedback to your local VA leaders and employees regarding your care, its quality, and your satisfaction, as well as any problems that you may encounter. Tell your senators and representatives that we need a strong and healthy VA. Stop by their local offices, attend a town hall meeting, write or email them regularly to share your views and experiences. And please tell us stories about how the VA has helped you or about problems you've encountered. If you have difficulty using the Choice program, let us know. Your stories make our voice even stronger on Capitol Hill. Back in Washington, we'll continue to work with our VSO partners, with the administration and Congress, to address the problems that you identify. We need to have veterans and healthcare experts at the table to help shape the VA system of the future. In that regard, I'm very pleased that DAV's own Dave Gorman was appointed by the President to serve on the new Commission on Care, studying how to reform the VA healthcare system to better serve veterans. And I know we can count on Dave to advocate for a robust VA healthcare and benefits system, one that's adequately funded, modernized, and properly managed. Thank you, Dave. I hope I've been able to convey the seriousness of the situation and what's truly at stake for us and all veterans nationwide. We're coming into a presidential election year, and it's going to be more important than ever for us to collectively make our voices heard. Between now and the next election, the future direction of veterans health care will probably be decided. So let me leave you with this. Just think for a moment what life would be like if we lost the VA healthcare system, or if it was dramatically downsized. I know the VA was instrumental in helping many of you heal from the serious wartime injuries and illnesses. So many of us were helped on our road to recovery by a caring VA doctor, nurse, or volunteer. Do you really think that the private sector would have been as knowledgeable about our military experiences and how they affect our physical and mental health? I don't think so. We have to shape the future of VA so that it's there for us and future generations of service-disabled veterans. Our focus must be squarely on what's best for veterans. Working together, we can strengthen the VA so that it is and remains capable of fulfilling the promises made to the men and women it serve. And I know we can count on all of you in the days ahead to do just that. So again, I thank you for your support throughout the year. We speak to so many of you who call up to Washington, D.C., and again, we appreciate that, but we're going to all have to work together to make the VA the best VA possible. I see our time has run out, but before I close, I want to remind you that immediately following this workshop, we're going to have two very special guests for the Service and Legislative Seminar. VA Secretary Bob McDonald and House Veterans Affairs Committee Chairman Jeff Miller from Florida. Both are outspoken advocates for our nation's disabled veterans and have agreed to participate in a discussion about the current state of VA and their vision for the future of our healthcare and benefit systems. I also want to let you know that we have prepared updates for you on the budget, key legislative priorities, and pending veterans legislation that can be downloaded from DAV.org. So again, I thank you all for coming out early this morning, and I thank you for your attention. So it's just going to be a few minutes now for us to get ready for the next seminar. So please stay seated, and we'll begin momentarily. Thank you so much.